Te Tai Tokiro activist Chris Huriwai isn't afraid to go against the tide to create change.
I've always been very outspoken in my life in general. I've never really been a fan of higher-up authority figures.
From a young age, he learned how to use his voice as he began his path to becoming vegan and an animal rights activist.
I turned vegetarian when I was about 13 years old. We actually had two cows that we wanted to turn into house cows for milking, but we discovered that we actually didn't have enough land. And so when my parents told me, oh, we're going to get rid of the cows, that's when I was like, whoa. In fact, that's when I did my first piece of activism, I suppose. I said to my parents, I'm going to be a vegetarian. And if I'm a vegetarian, you can't make me eat that.
Chris is part of a growing number of young Māori who are vegan. And he's an outspoken critic of our biggest industry, dairy farming, which is entrenched in our social and economic fabric.
So I started searching for other people who shared this whakaaro and wanted to join me on a kaupapa that spoke out against industrial dairy farming. And luckily, Amy Taylor of Ahimsa Films approached me and she wanted to start making a documentary. I was already being quite vocal about the dairy industry and the harms that it was causing.
Dairy was a normal part of life growing up in New Zealand.
Chris Huriwai stars in and is co-producer of the new documentary, Milked. Directed by Amy Taylor, it takes an uncompromising examination of the impacts of our dairy industry.
This industry is not working for anyone.
We've gone down industrial agriculture big time, and we've got industrial-sized emissions.
And so the idea of speaking out against the biggest company in Aotearoa, Fonterra, it was a little bit daunting, I suppose, but as everything, you know, for me it comes back to the reasons why. We need to move away from this mindset that if there's a profit in something, that it's right to do it, or that it's okay to do it, or that we should do something just because there's money in it. And in reality, and we go into this in depth in the documentary, in reality, the true costs of dairy farming in Aotearoa are not being paid.
Industrial dairying is this country's biggest polluter.
They are the most inefficient food production system on the planet.
There must be an alternative.
Milked draws on a number of experts, including renowned conservationist Jane Goodall, and reveals the damage dairy farming is causing to our environment, animals, and health.
For you, this was quite a personal journey. You know, you're kind of the thread throughout the documentary. What was some of the most challenging parts of being a part of this?
A lot of knowledge keepers have come together for this kaupapa and, in a way, have entrusted me to present this information. And so there's been pressure in terms of getting things right. So I feel the weight on my shoulders. In terms of it being a personal journey for me, yeah, very much so. With my awa that I grew up next to, Mangatawa, I've always thought to myself how lucky I am to have Mangatawa, and I've always thought about the impact that it's had on me and my personal growth and my character building and the way that it has built my appreciation for the taiao, and how many other people, many other kids, many other rural Māori don't have that because of industrial dairy farming. And the pressure to get that right, the pressure to have a positive impact, to enable others to have the type of upbringing that I had, that enriching spiritual experience that I've had connecting with my awa.
For Chris, reconnecting to his Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Porou and Te Aotearoa whakapapa hasn't been an easy journey.
I started reconnecting to my taha Māori after I got into activism, I would say. I got into activism primarily because of animal rights. And along the journey of my animal rights journey, I started to make peace with who I am as a person. And I started looking inward on myself and thinking about myself as a Māori and coming to a place of peace. It's a journey and something that I reflect on often, but through my activism, I was able to connect more to myself, and I have more than ever a drive to reconnect to my taha Māori And I'm forever grateful and thankful for this activism journey that I've been on, for empowering me to do that.
Now Chris is living back in Northland. He's determined to stop Māori communities having their waterways polluted.
When you have a marae, when you have a small community that doesn't have a local waterway, you lose that free recreational activity for tamariki. And without that source for your community, for your hapu, for your marae, for your tamariki, for me, everything else falls apart.
What do you hope someone who goes into this documentary and watches it, what do you hope that they take out of it?
Like most things, I just hope that it encourages people to question things, because we're told that this is the backbone of the economy, that dairy farming is our identity. And so I just hope that people take from this film the idea that it is healthy to question these normalized types of narratives that we're getting all day long from all sides.
When it comes to making those changes in dairy farming, is that progress happening fast enough?
Like the rest of the world, Aotearoa currently is being ruled by the dollar, so nothing will ever be fast enough in terms of climate solutions, in terms of water degradation solutions. Protecting our fresh water should be paramount. Our fresh water for a long time has been at the bottom of the ladder in terms of priorities. Farming lobbyists have again and again been able to push away freshwater legislation that would have been prioritising our water.
Do you feel hopeful that New Zealand will transition away from dairy farming in the future?
Depends what day you catch me on. I mean, Aotearoa, we're known for innovation, creativity. And so if we can make that shift away from prioritising animal agriculture and GDP, if we can do that, a country that is financially, economically so reliant on it, then it would be the perfect example for other countries. If we can overcome it, there'll be no more excuses for anyone else. I do have faith, and yeah, it has to happen, it has to be done.